The most socially powerful people in any room are not the loudest, the most attractive, or the most credentialed. They are the most psychologically precise. And here is what I mean by that. Every social interaction has an invisible layer running underneath the conversation. A layer of signals, postures, silences, and micro-decisions that communicate something entirely separate from the words being spoken. Most people are completely unaware this layer exists. The socially powerful are not just aware of it, they are fluent in it. I have spent a significant amount of time studying why certain people command rooms without raising their voice, why certain people are trusted before they have earned it, and why certain people leave every interaction having moved something in their favor without anyone being able to identify exactly how it happened. What I found were not tactics, not scripts, not rehearsed lines designed to sound confident. They were psychological principles, specific, transferable, and almost entirely absent from the mainstream conversation around social dynamics. Here is the promise of this video. By the time you reach the final principle, you will understand exactly why certain people hold social power effortlessly, while others perform it exhaustingly. And the difference will make complete sense in a way it never has before. Stay through all 5, because the closing connection is the part nobody in this space ever reaches, and it is the part that makes everything else immediately usable. The psychology. 1. Strategic incompletion. Leave every interaction slightly unfinished. The human brain has a documented compulsion to complete unfinished patterns. When a thought, story, or interaction closes completely, the brain files it and releases it. When it remains slightly open, the brain keeps returning to it. This means that the person who ends conversations at the peak of engagement, who leaves something unsaid, a thread slightly unpulled, a question hovering without full resolution, occupies significantly more mental real estate in the other person's mind than the person who exhausts every topic until nothing remains to return to. Social power is not just about what happens during the interaction. It is about what happens in the mind of the other person after the interaction ends. The person they keep thinking about holds influence they never had to demand. End conversations before they are fully spent. Leave the most interesting thread for next time. The mind that keeps coming back to you is a mind that has already granted you significance. Hold this, because Principle 3 contains the psychological mechanism that makes this principle twice as powerful when combined. And it is something most people do unconsciously, but almost nobody does deliberately. 2. The power of considered disagreement. Agreeable people are psychologically invisible, not disliked, not rejected, simply not registered as significant. The brain assigns social weight to people who demonstrate that their agreement is not automatic. When someone disagrees thoughtfully, not combatively, not to perform independence, but because they have genuinely examined something and arrived at a different position, they signal something that unconditional agreement never can, that their approval, when it comes, means something. The person who agrees with everything you say hands you nothing. The person who pushes back once, specifically, and then agrees, hands you something that feels earned. Selective, considered disagreement is one of the underused tools for building social significance. It does not reduce likability. When deployed with precision and without ego, it increases it, because it signals that you are someone whose perspective has independent value, and independent value is the foundation of social power. 3. Reduce your surface area. Give less than they expect. Most people, in an attempt to be liked, give too much. Too much information about themselves, too many opinions too early, too much availability, too much explanation, too much of everything that was not asked for. What this actually communicates, beneath the words, at the psychological signal level, is a need for validation, and the need for validation is the most consistent social power drain that exists. The person who speaks less than expected, shares less than anticipated, and reveals less than the conversation seemed to invite, creates a gap, and the human mind fills gaps with significance, with projection, with curiosity that the person cannot control. Mystery is not silence, it is calibrated disclosure. The deliberate choice to hold something back, not because you have nothing to offer, but because you understand that what is withheld is always valued more than what is freely given. Do not skip Principle 5. It is the quietest principle on this list, and the one that produces the most immediate and measurable shift in how people respond to you, starting in the very next conversation you have. 4. Anchor your physical stillness before the conversation begins. The body communicates before the mouth opens, and most people under social pressure begin leaking signals of discomfort before they have said a single word. Shifted weight, quick eye movement, unnecessary gestures that fill space because stillness feels exposed. Every one of those movements tells the people around you that the social environment is affecting your internal state. And a person whose internal state is being visibly moved by external social pressure cannot hold social power, because social power requires the implicit communication that you are not subject to the pressures others are subject to. The practice is simple and immediate. Before entering any high-stakes social environment, anchor your physical state deliberately. Slow the breath, settle the weight, remove all movement that is not serving a purpose. The stillness itself communicates, before you have spoken, before anyone has evaluated your words, that what is happening around you is not happening to you. 5. Ask the question that makes the room feel seen. This is the most direct and immediately applicable principle for building social power in any environment. Most people ask questions to extract information. The socially powerful ask questions to create an experience. Specifically, the experience of being understood at a layer the person did not expect to be reached in this context. A question that goes one layer deeper than the conversation has been operating, that touches something the person has been thinking but nobody has yet named, does something that no amount of impressive information delivery can replicate. It makes the other person feel that you see something in them that most people miss. And the person who makes you feel genuinely seen holds your attention, your trust, and your social investment in a way that every impressive statement in the world cannot manufacture. The question is not complicated. It is simply the one that goes one level deeper than the room is currently operating at. Ask it, then be quiet enough to actually receive the answer. Now here is the connection I promised at the beginning. These 5 principles are not tricks. They are not techniques to deploy in rotation. They are 5 expressions of one underlying truth. Social power flows toward the person who needs the least from the room. Strategic incompletion, considered disagreement, reduced surface area, physical stillness, the question that creates being seen. Every single one of them communicates the same thing at the psychological signal level, that you are operating from sufficiency rather than need, that the room's response to you is interesting but not load-bearing, that your internal state was stable before this interaction began and will be stable after it ends. That signal, communicated not through words but through the accumulated weight of these 5 behaviors operating simultaneously, is the foundation of every form of social power that has ever been observed in genuinely influential people. It cannot be faked at the surface level. It has to be built from the inside. The next video on the rational soul goes directly into that building process, the specific internal practices that make these 5 principles stop being things you remember to do and start being the natural expression of who you are. Most channels hand you the tricks. The rational soul builds the psychology behind them. Subscribe to the Rational Soul. Turn on every notification. Do not miss the next one. Social power built on genuine internal sufficiency does not fluctuate with circumstances. That is the version worth building. And that is exactly what comes next.